Hello and welcome to my second tutorial on IoT and related technologies. So in the first tutorial we saw the setup for ESP32. In this tutorial we are going to see how we are going to build a real-time monitoring system with the help of ESP32 and using serverless architecture with the help of PubNub data streaming network. So that is, this slide shows the overall architecture of the system, but before we begin I'll take you through the actual system and show you how it looks like. Then we'll go through the details of the system. So let's go through it. So before we start going through the technical details of this tutorial, let's see what are we going to do, or what is the end state of our application. So this is where this is you can see this is ESP32 SoC, and this has been connected to the humidity and temperature sensors over here. This device is going to publish the data over to the cloud. In our case we are going to use a PubNub system. So you can see this device is publishing the data to our cloud system, which is here. I can show you the console of the PubNub system. You can see over here, and if I try to refresh it for you, all the console logs. So let me just clear the console logs so that you can see the message being published in real time to this. Yeah, see, this message is coming from the device ESP32. Now this device, this data is again subscribed by our HTML client. As you can see over here, I have used another laptop to show this, how this is happening. So let me just refresh this so that you can see all the data right from the start. So I just refresh the page, you can see nothing over here. Now when the next event is there, you will see the graph being painted. See, the first data has come in and you can see the dots. This is, you can see the humidity and temperature, and yeah, so this is the next data. So it is automatically refreshed. So in real time the data is being refreshed from the ESP32 device. So we are using PubNub system, PubNub Cloud service, which is a real-time data streaming network, and everything over here is based on the serverless architecture. We are not using any servers over here. So all these things we are going to see how we have developed this, and how you can develop this yourself and extend this entire system beyond what I'm showing here for your other needs. So let's go through all the presentations, code and all. Okay, so let's go through it. So very brief about this tutorial. Let's see what are the components that we are going to build to create this end-to-end system. So in this tutorial we are going to build remote sensing and real-time data visualization system, so which can read the data from remote sensors, stream data in real time to the cloud platform, subscribe to real-time data from cloud service to visualize it with HTML and keep refreshing it automatically. So this is what we are going to build in this tutorial. Let's look into the system architecture. So there are three main components. As you can see on the left side, you can see this is the sensor device, which is generating the JSON data and continuously streaming to the cloud service. Now the cloud service publishes the data to all the interested parties in, again, JSON format. That's done in real time. And we are also going to use the cloud service, which we call it as PubNub. And on the right side we see the real-time data visualization. We are going to use simple HTML to visualize the data, which keeps on refreshing as and when the event occurs. So all above three components, I have given a very brief introduction about all those three components that we are going to use. First is obviously the temperature and humidity sensor. We are going to use T22 sensor, which is connected to ESP32 module and publishes the temperature and humidity at predefined interval to a channel configured on the cloud platform. Remember, we are publishing to the channel. This is very important. The second component that we could see was data streaming cloud services. Data streaming cloud services gets the data, receives the data from device, and then the same data it is publishing to all the subscribers. We'll see few more details about this data streaming cloud services in next set of slides. The last component, let's go back. The last component was real-time data visualization. This is a simple HTML which subscribes to the channel and shows the data in real time. So let's quickly look into the architecture once again. So on the left side, we are going to use ESP32 module for Wi-Fi and sensor data read, and on the cloud we are going to use PubNub data streaming cloud services, and for real-time data visualization we are going to use the static HTML. So the first component, temperature and humidity sensor, will be using ESP32 board, and as you know, this is a very cheap board and can be used for quick prototyping, very easy to learn, and a lot of open source libraries are available. A very active community support for this. So this is the first component that we have. The second component that we have given in the architecture is the data streaming cloud services. Here we are going to use the PubNub platform. So the PubNub platform is a real-time data streaming network, and this gives you a kind of serverless architecture where you don't need to have your own server or infrastructure to run your code. So they provide a function as a service where you can create the function and then use it as per your need. So again, a few more detail about PubNub service. So in our case, the PubNub is acting like a mediator which receives the data from devices, and then it again, after doing some processing on the data, it is publishing to the subscribers, which is in our case HTML, simple HTML. So PubNub also provides a JavaScript library which can be used for refreshing the data in real time on HTML pages. So it's based on WebSocket technologies. The last component that we saw was real-time data visualization. Now we'll be using a simple HTML based client. This will show the data in real time. Automatic refresh will happen as and when it occurs. So now let's work on different pieces together. We'll create each of these pieces first, and then we'll stitch them together at the end. So the very first piece that we would be looking into is create and configure PubNub system. We'll start from here. Then the second step would be prepare sensor node with ESP32 and DHT22. Third step would be write HTML code for data visualization. Finally, we'll integrate all these together and create end-to-end system. Okay, so now we're going to see how to configure PubNub channels. So as I said earlier, the PubNub is a real-time data streaming network which is capable of gathering the real-time data from various sources as and when it occurs, and delivering it to all the interested parties through subscriber channels. So let's go and configure this PubNub. So I'll go to the PubNub website. So I'm already there on the PubNub website. Okay, and first thing you have to do is log in. If you don't have the login, you have to create one for yourself and then go to the login page and just log in. I'll log in with my ID. Okay, Okay, let's see. Yep. So this is what you will see when you log in for the first time. This is my email ID, and you'll see nothing on this page except for your welcome message for your email ID. Now let's quickly go through what are the steps that we have to follow to create the PubNub configurations. Okay, so I have listed down the steps. The first is the login and create the app in the PubNub. So this is what we are going to do now, to create the app in the PubNub. So I'm here, and if you see there on the right side it shows create new app. So I'm go there, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to name it as real-time streaming app. Okay, yeah, here you go. So here I clicked on create. Okay, so it was not clicked. Yep. So you see a card is listed here, which is showing the name as what you have given, and the messages and devices as 0. The important things to notice over here is that it has created a default keys for you. That's a publisher and subscriber key. So this publisher key is used by any device which is going to publish the data to this app, and this subscriber key is going to be used by the subscriber devices which are going to get the data from through this app. So that's the first step that we have completed. Now let's see what's the next step. Next step is create a module within the app. So I'll name this as real-time streaming module. So let's go there, and you have to go to the functions first, and here's you will see no modules to show. So you have to create one for yourself. I'll name it as real-time streaming module. Enter the description. This will be used for real-time data streaming. Yeah, so you have liberty to choose the key set for this module. Right now we have only one, which is created by default, so keep it as is and then say create. Okay, so now you see you have created a module within the app. Now what's the next step? So we have completed this step. Now we have to click on module to create a function. So this function is something which is actually going to handle the messages, and it is like a serverless architecture where you'll use a function as a service on the cloud. So these are very popular nowadays, and we are going to use function as a service. So we have to create a function for ourselves. Okay, let's go. This is the module you have created. Click on it, and when you click on it, you see no function yet. So you have to create for yourself. So just click on create, and you have to see I'll put it as real-time streaming function. Okay, you have to select the event type. So this is what you want to do before when you are defining a function. That function is going to take action based on what it has received. So this piece of code in the function will be executed before this function publishes further to the subscriber. So that is why we have to select it as before publish or fire, and you have to give the channel also here. This is extremely important. The channel name is real-time pub sub. Now what is channel? Now channel is sort of a broker channel which will be visible to the publisher. Let's say you have a device on the ground that can publish to this channel, and you have n number of subscribers which can subscribe to this channel. So keep a note of this channel name. It will be used later on when you are doing some programming. So let's create it. Yep, so it has created. You can see the function has been created, and on the dashboard you can see this is a function. This is nothing but a function as a service. You can put your own logic over here or do some processing over here and then send it to some other application. So we'll just see how to test it. So on the left side you will see the JSON message. So for our purpose we will have a device on the ground which will have a device name. So I'll say it's a real-time device, and then let's say that the device is sending me the temperature, so I'll put it as temp. And yeah, so let's see, it's 42 degree. Okay, so and humidity, let's say, so humidity is, again I'll put it as something 87%. Okay, and let's see, this part is sort of a client which would be on the ground or which would be lying somewhere remotely, and that can send message to this function. So let's publish and see. On the right side, if you see, this has received the message. Sorry, this is I forgot actually that we have to first start the module before we can do anything with this. So on the right side you see start the module. Okay, okay, so it is starting. You can see the status over here, still starting, and it should not take much time. Let's wait. When you're done with the configurations, you will see this kind of a screen on PubNub. So we have created a real-time streaming app, and that's what you can see on the dashboard when you log in again. So now let's start the modules and do some testing with stubs given by PubNub itself. So I'm going to click on this, and let's go. And if you see this, when you click on this, it shows the demo key set, plus on the left side it shows the functions. We would be interested on the functions, so let's go and click on functions. As I told earlier, the hierarchy is the apps, then modules, and within the modules you have the functions. So right now you can see the modules, and I click on the module which I created here, and let's see, and this is the details of the modules, and below is the list of the functions. So I'll go and again click on the functions. See, so we are into the functions again, and as of now the status is stopped. So to do any kind of testing we would need to start this module. Okay, let's go and start. Should not take much time. Let's see. Yeah, so it has started, and you can see here the status has changed. The block module is now globally deployed. Now let's do some testing here. So this is what we created earlier, the JSON message. This on the left side you can see the save test and the publish. Now when you say publish, this would be more or less similar to any device which is remotely connected to this PubNub data streaming network and can publish the messages. So I'll say publish from here, and let's see what happens. See on the right side you can see the messages are there which has been published. So I'll just put console output so that we can clearly see it, only the message part. So I selected console input, and you see I'll change the message over here something. It is 42, I'll make it 43. So far we have seen how to configure the PubNub channel, and this slide shows all the steps that we have done so far to configure the PubNub channel. Now we have created the function, which is nothing but function as a service. Now that function has to be modified to meet our requirement. Now let's see what what changes are needed in the function that we created and why they are needed. So there's something wrong. Okay, yeah, so let's move on. So this is the function that we created by default. This is what would be seen in PubNub when you create a function. So let's see, why do we need to modify this function. Now let's go back and look into the flow that we have for this entire system. So as you can see on the left side, this is the device which will be continuously generating the data and sending the JSON data to the PubNub Cloud service. Now this data is being generated in a specific JSON format. Now this is what I call it as format A, and the device publishes its own device ID, then the temperature and the humidity. Now this goes to the PubNub data streaming cloud services, and now here the function that we have created will be called. Now before we sorry, let's go back. So before we publish it further to the real-time data visualization system on the right side, the message has to be formatted from format A to format B, because real-time data visualization system understands the format B. So this can be very easily done in the function that we created in the PubNub. So let's go and look into how this conversion is happening in PubNub function. So here it is. So here you can see this is the modified function, and nothing much in this. This is very easy to code. This is the request object that you get in this function, and this, when you say request.message, it gives you the JSON message that has been received by this function, and you say dot on that, dot temp, then it will get the temperature for you, and then humidity and device ID. So it has to be formatted into a specific format, as we saw in the earlier slide. This is the format that we have to convert it to. So this function converts it to, you can just take this function and copy it in your function if you're creating it. So this is about the function, which is acting like a broker in between for converting one format of message to another format. That's it. Yeah, thank you. So far what we have seen is to create and configure the PubNub system. We have seen all the steps to create the app, and then module, and then function, and then what is to be written in the function. So that has been covered. The first step has been covered. Now second part, which is about the ESP and DS22, we are going to cover this step now and see how the ESP32 is going to work along with DST22. So let's move on to the next slide and see. So this is the schematic of ESP32 and DST22 connections. So if you see, I'm sorry, this is okay. So if you see on the left side, we have ESP32 module, and we are going to use the GPIO pin number 27 for data transfer between ESP32 and DH22 module. So these are the connections. The GPIO of ESP32 is connected to the data pin of DH22, and the ground of ESP32 to the ground of DH22, and then so is the 3.3 volt pin is connected. Let's see how it looks like when you put it on the breadboard. Here it is. This is how it will look like when you put all the connections in place. Now also, before you jump to the ESP32 program, please make sure you have downloaded and installed the libraries that I have mentioned on this slide. The very first is the PubNub library, which is an open source and given by the PubNub, which is used for connecting to the PubNub system. The next one is the Arduino JSON library, and then DHTESP library, and then the last one is the AJSON library. So please ensure you install all these libraries before you jump onto the ESP32 programs. Let's now move on to the Arduino IDE, where we will be programming the ESP32 and see how it is going to work. Okay, so here it is. Now this is a sample program that I have pulled from PubNub and have modified as per our needs. If you see all the imports, this is all is required, which I mentioned. All these libraries has to be there before you jump to the program. So the first is let's see the Wi-Fi configuration part. So you need to put in your own SSID and the password over here for Wi-Fi connectivity. And the next one is the PubNub configuration. So the PubNub, the part of the PubNub configuration, you would need the pub key and the sub key. These two keys are generated when you created the app and the module and the function in the PubNub system. So take a note of that and just paste it over here. And the last one is the channel name. This is the channel name which has been given to the function that you created in the PubNub. So take a note of that, and the same channel name should be used over here. So please be sure that you're using the same. So now let's see what else initialization you have to do. I'm using the pin number 27 of ESP32 module. So DHT pin has to be initialized at what you're using. The next is I'm just initializing the temperature and humidity to 0 to start with. And let's go to the setup. In the setup function, you see this is the Wi-Fi connectivity is the first thing that you need to do. And then is the after you are done with the Wi-Fi connectivity, you need to call PubNub begin, and it uses the pub key and the sub key that we mentioned above. So this is the initialization of the PubNub module, and then there is a setup to be done for DHT22 module. This is being done here, and this is just the initialization of the JSON data that would be sent to the cloud. Please note device ID over here. In IoT, whenever you have a device on the ground, it has to be associated with a unique ID. So here I'm using the temp humid sensor as the unique ID for this. So this is the setup function. Let's jump on to the loop function. Loop function is something which is continuously reading the data from the sensors. So if you see over here, this line temperature and humidity is being read from DHT module. I'm just printing it for debug, and then there is a variable which is going to have the JSON data. I just put the current value of temperature and humidity in the JSON, and then if you see here, this is the line which is actually publishing the data to the PubNub data streaming network. And please note that there is a delay of 10,000 milliseconds. That is this ESP is going to stream the data after every 10 seconds to the PubNub system. Let's move on. So this is, we have covered the ESP32 module programming, and then let's see and what next in the step. So in our steps, we have covered the first two parts, that is create and configure PubNub and prepare sensor node with ESP32 and DH22. Now we are going to cover the HTML, which is going to be used for data visualization. So let's directly jump on to the HTML code. So here's the HTML code, example.html. So this is where you would need to change certain things before you start using it. Please note that you don't need to have a server for this. What you can do is just open this in the Chrome browser or any other browser that you would have. As of now, you don't need any server for it to be running. You can just keep it on your local machine, or if you wish, you could install it on some HTTP server on the cloud, maybe on the Amazon cloud or some other the cloud. So as of now, I'm just putting it on my local machine and just open it to view the data. So let's quickly look into the code of this example.html. So here is the code. It's a very simple code. See, what I've done is I've imported the bootstrap library for CSS, and then this is important part. So here is the bundle.js, which is coming from the PubNub, and PubNub provides the Eon library. The Eon is a project again from PubNub, which is used for real-time data visualization. So I just use this bundle.js from PubNub. The next is the configurations that you need to do before you start using it. Is you need to change the pub key and the sub key. Again, the channel name. These parameters are same as what you have configured on the PubNub Cloud. So please make sure that these parameters are matching. Then only the system will work. Otherwise, you will have a problem. So this is what you need to code for HTML, and you will be done with that. So we have covered all three steps. So once you are done with all three steps, just plug in the ESP32 module to the power system, and then you'll start seeing the data on the PubNub cloud that we have seen at the start of this tutorial. And then just start the open the example.html on the browser, and you will start seeing the data, real-time data. So also please note that you can pull all the code that has been used in this from my GitHub account. So here is my all the details of the GitHub account. So the code link is there. Note down this link. You can download all the code that has been used in this tutorial. Thank you for watching this. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel for updates. In next set of tutorials, I would be covering how to connect the ESP32 device to the Amazon Web Services, and develop a highly secured devices which can have the data streamed over to the Amazon Web Services in a secured way, and then using the Lambda functions to do the further processing of the data that has been received, and then putting it in the DynamoDB. So all those things will be covered in the upcoming tutorials. Thanks for watching this. Thank you very much.